Aviation history in Bengaluru. Enemy fighters share airspace. Big war of the stealth fighters. India's stealth jet 11 years away. Unthinkable. Will India import? Our top focus on 5 Live.
And we're going to get you all the highlights from the Aero India show in Bengaluru in just a moment. History has been made down there, and I'm going to show you exactly how. But history has been made at the Aero India Defence and Aerospace exhibition that opened this morning in the beautiful city of Bengaluru. For the first time ever, viewer, the world's premier stealth fighters, the American F-35 Lightning II and the Russian Su-57 Felon, are sharing the same airspace. It is a sight that not only stirs the soul of every aviation enthusiast, but underscores India's unique place in global geopolitics. And I'll explain why it's a marquee moment that you shouldn't miss. The Su-57, or the Sukhoi Su-57, and the F-35 generally have so far avoided being at the same air show due to geopolitical tensions and strategic concerns between the US and Russia, which have been there for decades. These two aircraft represent the pinnacle of stealth fighter technology for their respective nations, and their simultaneous presence could raise security and intelligence risks. Both aircraft are designed with advanced radar evading capabilities, as you can see, and sophisticated avionics, making them prime targets for each other's electronic intelligence gathering. As a result, major international air shows often reflect these broader geopolitical realities, keeping these two competing fighters from sharing the same stage until today at Aero India 2025 in Bengaluru. This moment is not just about cutting-edge air power, it is about diplomacy in motion, a reflection of India's finely balanced relationship with both Washington and Moscow, and the fact that India is, let's not forget, an enormous market for imported weapons. In an era marked by deepening geopolitical fault lines, it is only in India that such an unprecedented convergence of enemy air power could actually take place. The presence of both these aircraft on Indian soil under the same skies is a testament to India's long-standing strategic autonomy and multi-alignment, a principle that has allowed India to engage productively with global powers without compromising on our own sovereignty and security. But while we celebrate this incredible aviation milestone, we must also acknowledge the harsh realities that define the air power landscape of today. Our neighbors to the north, China, have been rapidly modernizing their air force, unveiling a new generation of stealth fighters and expanding their aerial combat capabilities at an unprecedented pace. The air power gap between India and China is no longer a distant concern, it is a pressing reality of today. The need to ensure our very own air superiority has never been more urgent. It is in this context that India's Defence Minister has today reaffirmed the government's full commitment to the development of our own homegrown advanced medium combat aircraft, or AMCA. It's a stealth fighter which is on display for the first time as a full-scale mock-up, as you can see, at Aero India. It's not flying because it's not ready. It's on the ground as a model. The AMCA represents India's aspirations for technological self-reliance, a declaration that we will not merely be buyers of cutting-edge air power, but creators of it. However, even as we stand by this ambitious project, we must confront the hard facts, viewer. Official projections unveiled yesterday indicate that deliveries of the AMCA will only commence in 2036. That's 11 years from now. An eternity in the world of aviation, where generational shifts in technology occur in a fraction of that time. By then, the very definition of air superiority may have changed, and the pressing question before us is whether the AMCA, despite its promise, can remain relevant in the battles of the future. The Indian Air Force finds itself at a critical crossroads. Should we stay the course and rely solely on the AMCA, even as the world accelerates towards sixth generation air combat and more? Or should we take the difficult turn and consider the possibility of importing stealth fighters to bridge the gap? To me, that's unthinkable. But is that a reality that India will have to face? It is a dilemma that demands serious introspection, for the choices we make today will determine whether India can secure its skies against future threats. As we witness the beautiful F-35 and Su-57 share the skies over Bengaluru in a historic moment today, perhaps history will remember when the world's most advanced fighters met here in India for the first time. And we did not just marvel at their presence, we charted the course of our own dominance in the skies. And that brings me straight to my next story. India may have dilemmas about its future piloted aircraft, but India is riding the wave of being on the very cutting edge of something that could change the very paradigm of air power in the future. What you're looking at here is an animated concept of India's own loyal wingman drone. Think of it as an assistant that fighter pilots will have in the air. A pilot gets into a cockpit, but he also has what is called the CATS Warrior. This is something that is being pioneered by Hindustan Aeronautics Limited and will be taking its first flight this year. This may be an animated clip, but the product is real, it's on the ground, and will be in the air soon. A loyal wingman or a collaborative combat aircraft is basically a robotic unmanned aircraft that flies in collaboration with fighter aircraft and conducts all kinds of tasks for the pilot, elevating the pilot to the role of a mission commander. He can send his drone off to attack targets, or to fetch information, or to soak up intelligence, or to act as a decoy, to distract, to divert. Any number of missions can be taken on by the CATS Warrior, and it is the CATS Warrior that has been the cynosure of all eyes at Aero India, which is why it is my deepest pleasure and privilege to have with me today Group Captain H.V. Thakur. He is the Chief Test Pilot at Hindustan Aeronautics Limited and a person widely regarded as pioneering and being at the forefront of the CATS Warrior and many other fixed-wing programs at HAL. Group Captain Thakur, really good to see you. Thank you so much for your time. I know it's a hellishly busy day for you there on day one at Aero India. But first of all, a huge congratulations on what the CATS Warrior has been able to achieve so far. Give us a quick update, Group Captain Thakur, on where things are with this very, very exciting project.
Very good evening to you, Shiv. So first of all, let me tell you what I've been busy with. I've been busy with flying the Hindustan jet trainer, to be more precise, and I've been flying since morning. I've done 2 sorties today and 3 are planned tomorrow. And every day that will be the schedule for us. But while I was doing that and out on the tarmac and in the air, here on the ground with our designers and engineers, the CATS Warrior has been making some waves, and not for the wrong reasons. For absolutely the right reasons. We've created the prototype 0, and we have 1 and 2 also in the pipeline, which will come up very shortly. We intend to fly them as soon as possible. It's been a while under design development at HAL, and we have been mentored by a lot of our partners, and we are using the services of the private industry as well to do some fabrication for us. This is an out-and-out Indian product. Starting from the engine, which is maybe a surprise to many. Starting from the engine to the mission systems to everything, every nut and bolt on the aircraft is absolutely Indian, and it will be Indian in the production variant also. This is an out-and-out Indian product, which is like the long arm of the fighter, manned fighter, where the manned fighter would have reservations in going into a very intense A280 zone, where CATS Warrior kind of UCAV can be thrown in. It'll drop its payload, it'll come back quickly, land and go up for the next mission. While the manned fighters hover around close to the border, these birds, which are low signature birds, will go in deeper into enemy territory, perhaps go into lethal zones, fire their weapons, do the intelligence gathering, do the surveillance, do some EW roles as well.
Yeah.
Maybe act as a decoy and mislead enemy fighters towards themselves, fulfill their mission requirements, and land back quickly. Be ready for the next mission. They don't really get tired, unlike pilots.
Yeah.
So it'll offload the very fact that pilots get tired, humans get tired. Men and women in uniform are precious to us. We don't want to lose those resources.
Yep.
So this is like for every manned fighter, if you get 3 or 4 unmanned machines which are there as wingmen to them, loyal wingmen to them, and they go ahead of them, you immediately have a fighter force which is rather than 700 aircraft, you have 2,500 aircraft within no time. They are easier to manufacture, they are easier
True.
to design and develop. Of course, we have to cross a few humps before we say all of that. But that's what combat air teaming system is all about, and we are in the big game and we are ahead of the curve, and let's see where we get for the Air Force, Navy and Army.
Really, really good to hear about progress, and I think the interest in Cats Warrior is very, very. It's something that is totally justified. I'm not surprised that we've seen so many crowds of people taking pictures of the Cats Warrior. But Group Captain Thakur, you wear a couple of different hats. You're a pilot, but you're also a developer. You're at the forefront of developing this. Could you throw some light on what the challenges are in developing an unmanned combat aircraft of the kind that Cats Warrior is, as opposed to a crewed or a manned fighter? What are the differences, and when do you think, in your view, the Cats Warrior will fly for the first time?
See, if let me shatter some of the perceptions which are there. Developing an unmanned aircraft is easier than developing manned fighters. What is difficult about unmanned aircraft is to operate them. To operate them is a little bit of a mess, because you have to have a lot of systems in place to have them take off, land safely and in large numbers. Like you have fighters which get airborne in 4s and 8s, and you see Surya Kirans, 9 aircraft or 10 aircraft are airborne together. That's very, very difficult to do for unmanned aircraft. Whereas, and that's where I shatter the common feeling. To develop unmanned aircraft is very, very easy, and that's why you see hordes and hordes of companies within India and abroad also getting into this game in a big way, and many of them succeeding, especially in India. Many of them succeeding also quite well. So HAL, having the legacy of 80-85 years of aircraft development and manufacturing, obviously is in the right slot to quickly, this is like buy one get one. If you already know how to develop manned aircraft.
Yeah.
Developing unmanned aircraft is a piece of cake for an aircraft developer. What he does need a little help with, or maybe mentoring with, is the ATOL portion and the operations portion, where the Air Force comes into play, or perhaps somebody who's already got the lead, like DRDO, or maybe another partner company. Otherwise, largely speaking, the levels of redundancy you need in unmanned fighters, unmanned combat aircraft, is much, much lower than what you need in manned fighters. The extent of development, the number of years that is required for development is much shorter for unmanned aircraft, and this is literally, this can be, while you may be producing manned fighters in the factory, at the back door of the factory, you could produce equal number of unmanned fighters, absolutely within the same budget and within the same project. That's something that we have to, obviously, elevate ourselves to be able to do all of that. And it's easier said than done now, but 10 years down the line, you will perhaps see that what I'm saying turns out to be true in the future. Yeah. And that's where everybody is headed, and we are right on the curve, and I think we are up to the challenge of this disruptive kind of combat, where this is the only way to beat or be at par with a very, very large adversarial force.
And the reason why I think that's important, Group Captain Thakur, and this is my final question, is, India and the Indian Air Force has been struggling, with its squadron numbers as far as manned fighters are concerned. There are various challenges as far as squadron numbers, fleet strength, etc. are concerned. Now there's a dilemma over whether we may need to import. All those challenges are there before the Indian Air Force right now, which is why something like the Cats Warrior, as you're saying, could be, something that we focus on, because it's going to change the paradigm not very far into the future. In fact, it's already happening now. It's going to be a force multiplier which will actually help us bridge some of those gaps. Isn't that true?
That is, while that is true, we still have to cross a few very important obstacles, which we haven't yet done. So I'm not saying all the challenges are in our pocket and we've overcome them. But like I said, it's easier to develop unmanned aircraft, unmanned combat aircraft, easier to develop than developing manned aircraft, which DRDO, HAL, ADA has been doing for quite some time now. And HAL definitely has been developing helicopters and jet trainers, etc. For a long, long time. So for a company or an organization like this, a 2-ton aircraft, which is used to developing an LCA kind of aircraft, which is a 14-ton aircraft, is literally a piece of cake. Yes, we have to invest in it big time. We have to invest resources, manpower, and the time of our leaders in this. And when we have our ConOps right and we have figured out exactly how to use these, where we as pilots in the industry are forming the bridge between the developers in the industry and the Air Force, Navy and Army. When we bridge this gap of understanding between the engineers and the operators, then we will come out with a great solution. Hopefully Catch Warrior will be that first off solution. It will be a minimum viable product which can be straight away launched into combat. And subsequently we'll have bigger and bigger variants which are perhaps not so easy to make, a little more difficult but still easier than making manned fighters. So while ADA and HAL may be developing AMCA and ZBF and LCA Mark II, this is the low-hanging fruit which has to be utilized by the industry strength that we have.
Low-hanging fruit, but the very, very leading edge of air power and something we cannot afford to miss. And it's really so good to see someone like you, Group Captain Thakur, there taking care of this personally. It means a lot to you, and it means a lot to all Indians to watch, someone of your caliber leading this all-important project that's going to bear so many fruits for us as a country and national security. Thank you very much, and all the very best to you and your team going forward with Catch Warrior and everything else that you're involved in. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you for your time. All right.
Thank you. Thank you. So that was Group Captain H.V. Thakur. He's the Chief Test Pilot of Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, and he is pioneering the Catch Warrior and many other fixed-wing, homegrown, indigenous aircraft programs at Hindustan Aeronautics Limited. But one of the most important programs, and I touched upon it at the beginning of this broadcast, is India's Advanced Medium Combat Aircraft. It's called AMCA. It's an aircraft that is 11 years away according to official estimates, and that has posed a dilemma for India's Air Force, because these fighters, or fighters of this type, are already in service in large numbers with China, which means they will soon be in Pakistani hands soon as well. Here's a report by India Today's Shivani Sharma on the ground in Bengaluru, getting you this update on the AMCA.
Now we bring to you the most ambitious project of India. This is the AMCA project, and AMCA is the project in which India is working for its 5th generation fighter craft, and I have with me the project director himself, Mr. Krishnarajan Neely, who is going to tell us what's the progress of this project. Sir, a very warm welcome on India Today. What is the progress of this AMCA project?
Thank you very much. And as far as the progress is concerned, all of you know that we have got the sanction for the full-scale engineering development of the AMCA in April 2024. We thank the Indian government for giving us this prestigious project to the Aeronautical Development Agency, which is the ADA has been steering this particular program from its conceptual stage. We have started our official journey in 2010, and today we are showcasing to the country the full-scale engineering model of the AMCA.
So if we ask you, AMCA, Su-57 or F-35?
See, it is like this. Whether Su-57 is good or F-35 is good or AMCA is good, I will say everybody is good. AMCA is our own baby, and we have designed it and developing for our Indian Air Force. So everybody is good.
And how much time is more for this project's completion, sir?
See, we have got the development phase approval for the period of 10 years. So by 2034, we will be completing its certification.
Okay.
Yeah, and ready for the production.
So when do we expect the first actual AMCA with the forces?
See, actual AMCA, it will touch the sky sometime towards the end of the 2028.
Okay. We can expect that.
Yes, certainly we can expect that. By 2028, we'll fly this aircraft.
So the AMCA is only a mock-up on the ground. It doesn't exist. It's still many years away from even a first flight. And according to official information released, like I said yesterday, it will only begin delivery to the Indian Air Force sometime in the next decade, in the middle of the next decade, 2035, 2036, which means the Indian Air Force will have to wait for a whole decade before the AMCA actually comes online. And like I said at the beginning of the show, 10 years is an absolute lifetime when it comes to how fast military and combat capabilities are actually changing. The generational evolution of these technologies mean that there is a real fear that once the AMCA actually comes online and is ready for service, it may not even be an authentically contemporary aircraft. Shivani Sharma is live with me from Bengaluru, and she's been interacting with all our amazing aerospace scientists who've been leading these fascinating projects. Shivani, it's a difficult position that the Indian Air Force is in. You know, the Aero India show is fabulous. The images are amazing. The sounds are amazing as well. I wish I were you. I wish I was there. But the Indian Air Force is in an unenviable position where it needs to make a decision on whether to pursue, indigenous projects which may not come for many, many years, or, resort to the very difficult, unthinkable, proposition of importing fighters.
Shiv, this is a challenging situation for the Indian Air Force, and we've been talking to the Indian Air Force's Chief, Air Chief Marshal AP Singh, and also Defence Minister Rajnath Singh yesterday in the press conference. We asked the same question. We said that the Su-57 is here from Russia, the F-35 is from Russia. Both of them are eyeing the Indian markets, and you are now progressing with AMCA. So what are the possibilities? So they said that we are keeping our options open. Even if AMCA is taking a little more time, we are keeping our options open. We can consider these aircrafts from Russia or any other country or America to be a part of our forces, because we need these fighters. The fifth generation fighter jets are required for the challenging situation we are in. So AMCA is also progressing. We were talking to the project director today, and he told us that by 2028 end, we can expect the first AMCA to be in service. So that's the timeline they expect, but it's a long way. It's a tightrope which the Air Force is walking, and we have to see what they have to what they'll decide. But yes, for the first time when Su-57E is here, along with F-35 from US, the possibilities are going high that India can make a choice between these two or any other fighter aircraft from these countries.
I personally hope that India doesn't need to import either of them. It's nice to enjoy these fighters, admire them, but importing them is an entirely different paradigm. But there is a threat scenario that cannot be ignored. The gap is very, very real. So the Indian Air Force is between a rock and a hard place right now. And like you correctly said, Shivani, it will need to make a decision. We'll have to see what that decision is. Enjoy the rest of the show, Shivani. We'll keep coming back to you to get all those amazing pictures from Aero India. It's already made history on day one itself. We'll have to see what else is there in store. Shivani, thanks so much for being with me. Well, yesterday, on a day right before the Aero India show actually kicked off, something very unusual happened. The Indian Air Force chief got into the cockpit of a Tejas fighter, and his co-pilot, the man sitting in the back seat of that twin-seat Tejas, was none other than India's Army Chief General Upendra Dwivedi. That's right. It was a historic first where India's Air Chief and Army Chief flew a sortie together in an indigenously developed and built Tejas fighter aircraft, which, as you know, is already in service with the Indian Air Force. The two took a flight for about 40 minutes over Bengaluru, right ahead of the Aero India show. The joint flight by the service chiefs demonstrated a big display of Atmanirbhar in defense, but also sent out a message of jointmanship, symbolic jointmanship between the Air Force and the Army. And as the show kicks off, let's get you some highlights on day one. This is what Shivari sent us.
What you see behind me is the Surya Kiran aerobatic team in the skies of Yelahanka, Bengaluru at the 15th edition of Aero India. You see the skill, the discipline and the fearlessness of the pilots of Indian Air Force, and that's how they are roaring in the skies of Bengaluru, where people from 150 countries have come here to witness the enhancing might of India. The center of attraction at the Aero India is Russia's Su-57E aircraft. This is the aircraft that is coming at Aero India for the first time. And when we talk about Su-57E, this is a fifth generation multi-role aircraft. This fighter is a stealth aircraft which is used for multi-operations during a combat. And when we talk about Russia's and India's collaboration, India has been relying upon Russia for a number of its aircraft, be it the Su-30s and other aircrafts also. And now, once again, when India is looking for the fifth generation multi-role aircrafts, Russia's Su-57 is once again here. They are eyeing India as a big market. And not only Russia, but America has sent its fifth generation F-35 fighters to India's Aero India, where 900 exhibits have come from across 150 nations. And Su-57E, which you can see here, is the attraction for the aviation experts, enthusiasts, and also the defense companies who are coming here. So this is the Su-57, and also the representatives of the company are here with the Su-57. Not only for the static display, the Su-57 of Russia will also be maneuvering in the skies of Yelahanka during the Aero India show. That is a 4-day-long Asia's biggest defense expo, which is spread in an area of 42,000 square meters. So the Su-57 and America's F-35, they will be together in the air along with Indian assets, the Indian Air Force's fighter jets. So Su-57, along with these armaments that you can see, the missile systems that can be integrated with Su-57 have also been kept at a display. So Russia is eyeing India as a market because India has to enhance its fighter jet squadron strength, and especially the fifth generation aircraft, though India is also working progressively on its own fifth generation AMCA project, which has come here with a big prototype at the Aero India. It is there for the display, but Su-57 is another attraction at Aero India.
It was a pleasure, of course, to fly the Army Chief, and I think he put a lot of trust in me, who doesn't fly regularly, to come and fly with me, share the cockpit. So, and he's an amazing flyer. I gave him controls, and I think if he had joined the Air Force, he would have been the chief, not me.
Ranveer Alabadia, or Beer Biceps, is arguably India's biggest podcaster and YouTuber. But once again, he is in trouble, this time perhaps serious trouble. Ranveer, aka Beer Biceps, triggered a storm over his sex with parents joke on the India's Got Latent platform of the other successful YouTuber, Samay Raina. The joke has drawn the ire of politicians, human rights groups, and the internet is in total meltdown mode. Samay Raina too is in hot water. Will this latest social media row trigger tough regulation on digital platforms. Take a look.
Ranveer Elabadia, who goes by the name Beer Biceps on social media, and Samay Raina, comedian and organizer of India's Got Latent, have landed in a soup. In an episode of the widely famous comedy show, Ranveer made a vulgar sex with parents joke. It was met with laughter and applause, not just from the fellow creators and judges, but also from the audience. Beer Biceps' joke triggered widespread outrage, drawing the ire of even the Maharashtra Chief Minister.
बहुत भद्दे तरीके से चीज़ों को कहा गया है, प्रेजेंट किया गया है, ऐसा मुझे भी पता चला है, जो बिल्कुल गलत है। फ्रीडम ऑफ स्पीच सभी को है, लेकिन हमारी फ्रीडम वहाँ समाप्त हो जाती है जब हम किसी और के फ्रीडम पर इंक्रोच करते हैं, और इस प्रकार का इंक्रोचमेंट ठीक नहीं है।
Netas and netizens are demanding action against the popular YouTubers.
स्टैंड-अप कॉमेडी हो या कुछ हो, एक हद तक ठीक लगता है, इतने गंदे मजाक ठीक नहीं लगते। मैंने अभी वो NCW चेयरपर्सन को वो वीडियो फॉरवर्ड किया है कि उस पे एक्शन लिया जाए।
हमारे देश की संस्कृति को कोई भी खराब करना चाहे, कितना भी बड़ा आदमी हो, उसको माफ नहीं किया जाता, एकदम क्लियर है।
3 complaints have been filed against the content creators and India's Got Latent organizers for using foul and abusive language.
It's time to teach them a lesson. Our youngsters should be brought back to the good path. Their energy should be channelized for nation's well-being and common upliftment. I hope these kind of perversion will be checked.
The Mumbai police soon reached Samay Raina's latent studio in car for a probe. With the heat mounting, Ranveer Elabadia issued an apology, claiming comedy is not his forte and that he would never disrespect family.
My comment wasn't just inappropriate, it wasn't even funny. Comedy is not my forte. I'm just here to say sorry. Many of you asked if this is how I wish to use my platform, and obviously this is not how I wish to use it. I'm not going to give any context or justification or reasoning behind whatever happened. I'm just here for an apology.
This isn't the first time a YouTube show stirred controversy. Will this fresh storm trigger regulation of OTT content? Bureau Report, India Today.
And I want to go across now to Priyanka Chaturvedi. She's a member of parliament in the Rajya Sabha from the Shiv Sena UBT. Priyanka, welcome. We just saw some of your tweets where you've said you plan to take up the Beer Biceps controversy, at a parliamentary standing committee. Can you explain why you're doing this, Priyanka? Okay, we can't hear Priyanka. We'll try and repatch that connection with her. But the fact that Beer Biceps now faces a criminal complaint action, by MPs in Parliament, the National Human Rights Commission chairman has also written off a letter calling for action against him, means that this is not just some social media angst or a debate. There could be real trouble for Ranveer, whatever his name is, Beer Biceps, because he may have crossed a line as far as what some of these people think. Well, a criminal complaint has now been filed against Samay Raina and Ranveer Elabadia, Ashish Chanchlani, Apurva Makhija and others at the Bandra Magistrate Court for spreading obscenity and vulgarity, says the complaint. Well, personally think, stuff like this, doesn't require national time. You can ignore it. But most people are terribly outraged and they believe that action needs to be taken against Ranveer Elabadia. I've never seen one of his podcasts, but for a person who is obsessed with reach and a person who clearly would like to get into shocking comments in order to grab eyeballs, it doesn't look like the outrage is actually going to be bad news for him. He's probably simply welcoming it, and the apology was merely to try and avoid any legal trouble. Let me get Vidya in live from Mumbai, our reporter from the ground. Vidya, what kind of trouble is Beer Biceps in right now?
Of course, given the kind of statement that the YouTuber had made, based on that, there have been a lot of reactions. Not just the politicians demanding action against him, but legal action have also begun. Remember, while the Mumbai police has already said that they are inquiring into this matter, there's also a Bandra magistrate before the Bandra magistrate. A complaint that has been filed, which is basically asking for legal action to be initiated against the YouTuber. So, of course, from all aspects, legal actions are being pursued by, the people in general. A lot of lawyers have actually gotten into it, seeking that legal action be taken against the YouTuber.
Vidya, thanks very much for that. We'll keep a track of that story and update our viewers. Samay Raina and Beer Biceps are both wildly popular, millions of followers, huge audiences all across the country. So there is interest as to what will happen to them. We'll keep you updated here on India Today. Karnataka, a state with immense potential and a thriving industrial ecosystem, is all set to host Invest Karnataka 2025, a platform aimed at driving global investments, fostering innovation and strengthening Karnataka's position as an economic powerhouse. Chief Minister Siddaramaiah has extended a warm invitation to the world to be a part of this transformative journey.
Karnataka has always been at the forefront of innovation, technology, and industrial growth, and this event is an opportunity to showcase the immense potential our state has to offer to the world. Invest Karnataka 2025 will be a landmark event bringing together global leaders, policymakers, and entrepreneurs to explore new opportunities and foster partnerships with over 18 country partners, 100 distinguished speakers, 30 technical sessions, and 5,000 distinguished delegates